It had been days since the massive lion appeared outside her small cottage on the edge of the forest. At first, Mara, a widow who lived alone, thought it was a coincidence. But as the days passed and the lion continued to sit silently outside her home, she knew something was unusual. The villagers warned her to stay inside. A lion never waits without a reason, they said. It could be hungry or waiting to attack. But Mara couldn't shake the feeling that the lion wasn't there to harm her. She watched from her window as the beast sat there, his golden mane ruffling in the evening breeze, his deep amber eyes staring at the door as if waiting for something or someone. Mara's heart pounded each time she saw the lion. She was used to solitude, but this was different. She spent hours watching the creature, wondering what had brought it to her doorstep. Fear warred with curiosity inside her. Why didn't it leave? Why wasn't it hunting? It had every opportunity to attack her livestock, yet it never did. One night, curiosity got the better of her. Taking a deep breath, she stepped onto her porch, clutching a lantern. The lion raised his head but made no move toward her. Mara's breath hitched. Up close, he was even more magnificent than she had imagined. His golden fur shimmered under the moonlight, his eyes reflecting the glow of her lantern. His presence was regal, yet his demeanor was oddly calm. Gathering courage, she whispered, "Why are you here?" Her voice barely carried over the quiet night. The lion let out a low rumble, not aggressive, but almost sorrowful. And then he did something astonishing. He turned slightly and revealed a deep wound on his leg, still fresh, oozing blood. Mara gasped. The lion had been in pain all along, and yet he had waited outside her home, as if he knew she would help. Torn between fear and compassion, Mara hesitated. She had never been this close to a wild beast before. Every instinct screamed at her to run, but something in the lion's eyes, an unspoken plea, held her in place. He could have attacked her at any moment, but he hadn't. He had waited. He had trusted. Swallowing her fear, she rushed inside and grabbed a bowl of water, herbs, and a clean cloth. When she returned, the lion was still there, watching her. Cautiously, she approached him. He didn't flinch, didn't growl. He simply watched her with trusting eyes. With trembling hands, she cleaned his wound. The lion let out a soft grunt, but did not stop her. Over the next few days, she tended to the lion. She left meat outside her door, cleaned his wound, and spoke to him as if he were an old friend. Slowly, the lion began to heal. Each day, he seemed stronger, his eyes less weary. He started responding to her voice, sometimes letting out a deep purr when she approached. There was a connection forming between them, something unspoken but undeniably real. On one particularly cool evening, Mara found herself sitting beside the lion, the fear that once paralyzed her replaced by a quiet understanding. She talked about her life, about the loneliness that filled her home since her husband passed. The lion listened, his golden eyes fixed on her, as though he understood every word. Then one morning, Mara stepped outside and found the lion standing tall, his strength restored. He gazed at her one last time, a silent farewell in his eyes, and then turned toward the forest. She watched as he disappeared into the trees, feeling an unexpected sadness settle over her. He had become a part of her life, a presence she hadn't realized she would miss. Days turned into weeks, and life returned to normal. But Mara often found herself staring at the edge of the forest, wondering if she would ever see him again. The villagers, who had once been terrified of the lion's presence, now spoke of her with reverence. They whispered she tamed a beast with kindness. The lion knew she had a good heart. Then one evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, she heard a familiar rustling outside her home. Her heart leaped. She stepped onto her porch and gasped. There, standing under the golden light, was the lion, this time with a young cub by his side, as if to say, "I remember your kindness, and now I trust you with my own." Tears welled in Mara's eyes. She knelt down, extending her hand, and the cub, hesitant at first, took a step forward. The lion watched closely but made no move to stop his offspring. Mara realized that this was his way of saying thank you. A bond that had once been formed through pain had now grown into something even more profound: trust, loyalty, and gratitude. The story of Mara and the lion spread far and wide. People from neighboring villages came to hear of the woman who had cared for a wounded lion, and in return earned his lifelong respect. Mara, once a lonely widow, found purpose in sharing her tale, teaching others that kindness, even to the most feared creatures, had the power to create bonds beyond understanding. And so, Mara continued her life on the edge of the forest, never alone, for she knew that somewhere beyond the trees, a mighty lion and his cub would always remember the woman who showed them compassion when no one else would. Seasons changed and years passed. Mara grew older, her hair now silver like the moonlight that once shone upon her and the lion. She still sat outside in the evenings, watching the forest, and sometimes she swore she could hear a distant roar, an assurance that her old friend was still watching over her. The bond they shared had never faded, transcending time itself. One day, as the villagers gathered at her home to celebrate her long life, a sudden hush fell over the crowd. From the edge of the forest, a familiar golden figure emerged. The lion, now older and even more majestic, stood tall with his grown cub beside him. He had returned, just as Mara had always believed he would. As she walked toward him, her heart full, she knew this was not just a farewell, but a reminder that love, kindness, and trust create connections that last a lifetime and beyond. This tale reminds us that kindness, even in the face of fear, has the power to forge unbreakable bonds. Mara's compassion toward the wounded lion, a creature others saw only as a threat, transformed fear into trust, proving that empathy can bridge the deepest divides. Sometimes those who seem the most dangerous are the ones who need help the most, and by offering it without hesitation, we may gain the most unexpected and enduring allies. Moreover, the story teaches us that true kindness is never forgotten. The lion's return, first with his cub, and finally in Mara's old age, symbolizes how one act of selflessness can ripple through time, leaving a legacy of love and loyalty. Mara's life, once marked by loneliness, became rich with meaning because she chose courage over indifference. In the end, the story whispers a timeless truth. Those who give with an open heart will never truly be alone. At its core, this story challenges us to reconsider our instincts, to look beyond appearances and listen to the silent pleas hidden beneath strength or ferocity. The lion, though a symbol of power, came to Mara in vulnerability, and her willingness to see his pain rather than his claws changed both their lives forever. It is a reminder that the world often judges too quickly, but those who pause to understand can uncover profound connections where others see only danger. Finally, the bond between Mara and the lion transcends mere gratitude. It becomes a testament to the invisible threads that tie all living beings together. Their relationship defies nature's laws, showing that trust, once earned, can rewrite destinies. Whether with animals or with people, the story urges us to nurture compassion, for it is the quiet language that the universe understands best. In a world that often values strength over tenderness, Mara's legacy is a beacon, proof that gentleness is its own kind of courage, and that love once given returns in ways we cannot predict.